parasitic entity. Parasitic entities can take the form of a physical parasite but can also remain energetic, and these things can create illness and disease on any level. Now, the only real difference between a physical parasite and an energetic parasite is that the physical parasite has been able to penetrate itself down into a physical form. The energetic parasite is just the energetic body of that physical parasite. If the parasite is just an energetic parasite, so a parasitic entity, it's basically, we're picking up on the energetic body of the parasite if it is a physical parasite. Some parasitic entities are just energetic. They have not penetrated themselves down into a physical form. So basically, if it's a physical parasite, it's penetrated itself into a physical form, but all parasitic entities are just the energetic body of these things. So you can pick up parasitic entities, and some of them will be in physical form, some of them won't be. Now, these things can hang around the home waiting for a host, and once attached they can multiply very, very quickly. So some attaching mechanisms for parasitic entities. Basically, these energies attach to a weak energy body from all the chemtrails and Wi-Fi and food sprays and all the other reasons that our energetic bodies are so weak right now. So this is one of the energies that really no one's immune to. At this stage of our evolutionary process, nobody's really been able to heal the energetic weaknesses from all of these things like chemtrails and food sprays and Wi-Fi's just yet. But we are definitely in that process of learning more about how these things affect us energetically, and we'll start building back our energetic body and form from that information. So obviously, you know, people like yourself are on the leading edge of that new level of consciousness. So, you know, it's through our choices in life, especially about food and all those sorts of things that we have control over. Those are the things that are going to make us have more of a weaker energetic system or a stronger one. So doing this work, I do highly recommend, you know, making the choices, especially when it comes to food. Obviously, the more organic, the better, because every single food that we put into our body that has, you know, food sprays on them, those things do affect us energetically. So, you know, those things we definitely have control over. But these are the one thing that most people have not got immunity to just yet. So once you have a physical or energetic parasite feeding off you, you're more likely to have other things attached, because these little buggers actually leave little open pathways, like little wormholes all over our energy bodies to allow other negative energy in. So once these things are actually attached to a person, regardless if the parasitic entity is physical or energetic, it doesn't matter. Once they've attached, they affect a person's mind. These things are designed to influence our minds in order to control behaviour that will serve to feed the parasitic energy. Now, this happens in animals, nature, and in humans. And a really good example that I have is when I was working at the Butterfly Sanctuary in Kuranda, many moons ago. We had this parasite that would actually affect the butterfly. Now, once it affected the butterfly, it would make that butterfly fly up as high as it could, find the highest tree, and literally sit there with its wings open, alive. We couldn't work out, especially if you know about, you may have seen, there's a beautiful electric blue Ulysses butterfly that we have up here in far north Queensland in the rainforest. It's a bright electric blue. It is the most beautiful, stunning colour. But blue is a bird's favourite colour. So when these butterflies land, they shut their wings up really tight, and underneath their wings they're completely camouflaged like a dead leaf. So these butterflies never ever sit with their wings open because they're a bird's favourite colour. And all of a sudden in the sanctuary we had all of these beautiful electric blue Ulysses flying up high with their wings open but still alive. And we couldn't figure out what was going on. Now, we couldn't see what was the end result of that because we were in a butterfly aviary, so we didn't have birds in there. But we had all of these Ulysses sitting there, and other species sitting there with their wings open up the top, and we couldn't figure out what was going on until we actually figured out that these guys had a parasite, a parasitic entity. And this particular parasite, it was designed to get into the butterfly's brain and make them fly up high and make the choice to open their wings up wide. And the reason for that is because if out in the wild, a bird would come and see that butterfly and eat it pretty quickly. Then that parasite is in the bird, and the bird will go around and start pooping that parasite all over the ground, so that parasite then has a chance to go and infect other things to do the same cycle all over again. So this is the clearest example that I can make that shows you how these things can affect something's mind and actually think a few steps ahead. You know, it's a very conscious parasitic entity. These things have a high level of consciousness and can actually manipulate their host in order to carry out certain things for them to get themselves even more spread or for them to get fed. Most people have parasitic entities. Most people have a physical form of parasite as well. So these things can affect people from the slightest sort of scale, which would be manipulating their food choices. These things love sugar and, you know, kind of things like that. So these things, once they're in a host, will actually convince them to crave certain foods that actually feed the parasite. Now, this can also go right up to the extreme of some people, once these things are actually really like an infestation, they can actually bound together and form like their own kind of consciousness in a way. They kind of bound together and create a super consciousness within them. So they take on an energetic form of their own. And once they're at that level and they're working together at that level, it can actually feel like or look like that someone's been possessed, because there's been lots and lots of people who have been able to see these things kind of come up and start even speaking through their partner. And once they've actually found a way to remove them, that this has gone away. So they can create a lot of manipulation within someone's system without them even knowing.